Hi, and welcome to another episode of Design Jamaica. This is part 3 as we continue our reimagination of a proper light rail network for the Kingston Metropolitan Transport Region, which takes in the cities of Kingston, Portmore, and Spanish Town. Just for a quick recap of what we've been looking at so far in the past 2 episodes, due to the inadequate and unsatisfactory services that is served by the JUTC alone, the Jamaica Urban Transit Company, a metro bus service, to basically add and improve the services already provided by the JUTC, we're introducing a light rail network that would serve the Kingston Metropolitan Transport Region. In part 1, we look at the history of commuter transport services within the KMTR. We look at the old tram service that served the region in the 18 to 1900s, which then was replaced by the Jamaica Omnibus Service, the JOC, in the mid 1900s, and then later in the late 1900s, the JUTC, the state-owned bus-operated company, which still operates today. As you know, over the years, times have changed, such as increase in population, infrastructural development, advance in modern technology, and so on. Which means by just having a metro bus service to serve the Kingston Metropolitan Transport Region, a region home to a population of a total of 1.6 million people, a mere metro bus service is no longer adequate enough to serve a population of this magnitude. Not to mention the continuous loss of revenue the JUTC continues to face from such incidents such as theft, bad roads, vandalism, reduction in fleet numbers, increased fuel costs, and so on. So because of this, also in part 1, we introduced a light rail metro service that would serve the Kingston Metropolitan Transport Region, one called the Jamaica Light Rail Transit, or the Kingston Metro. Within this light rail transit network, we introduced 6 color-coded metro lines between the 3 cities. We introduced the red line between Constant Spring via Halfway Tree to Greater Portmore, and the blue line between Papine and Spanish Town via Halfway Tree. In part 2, we covered the yellow line between the 876 Industrial Complex to Blvd via 6 miles, the green line between Barbican and Port Royal, which we also made some changes due to popular demand by you, our valued viewers and subscribers. And the shortest line within the network, the orange line between Halfway Tree to Red Hills. In this video, we'll be looking at the purple line between Spanish Town and Portmore, as well as the continuation of the red line from Halfway Tree to Constant Spring. Also, due to popular demand in terms of suggestion by you, our valued viewers and subscribers, yes, we do value you, our subscribers and viewers, and take your suggestions seriously. So we decided that we are going to add a circumference line, which would be the silver line. Being the culturally sportful nation that we are, with the National Stadium being in the eastern side of the city, we certainly have to have a line connecting this area between downtown and Halfway Tree. However, this line will not directly go to Halfway Tree or to downtown Kingston, but there will be connections to the blue line and the yellow line to take you to those places. So we decided that the silver line would start in Barbican, where the green line starts, onto East Kingston Road for connections to the blue line on Hope Road, then onto Lady Musgrave Road, continuing south along Seaview Avenue, and then along Mountain View Avenue in the vicinity of the National Stadium, then continuing south along Mountain View Avenue all the way to Windward Road, where it will connect with the yellow line. There was also some concerns about areas and space to build a light rail network. Some of you mentioned that with some of the city streets being so narrow and already congested by bus, cars, and pedestrians, an at-grade light rail network would not work, as this would cause more traffic and congestions on our streets. Certainly tunneling on our streets would not work, and that would be more fit for a subway system, which in return would be way more expensive to build and to maintain than a light rail network, unless they really do find the oil that we've been looking for in the Walton Morant Bank, which would in return boost our economy so that we can afford to build a subway. Don't get me wrong, guys, I do believe it's attainable once we put our minds to it, but that would be way more expensive. So we're going with the less expensive light rail transit. So we're ruling out tunneling under our streets, which leaves us with above grade lines in some areas. Most crucially, along those narrow streets, which probably cannot be retrofitted due to certain reasons. All of that will also be covered in this episode. Tell us something haven't covered. We here at Design Jamaica do value our viewers and subscribers and do take your suggestions seriously. So without further ado, let's get to it. The Purple Line between Spanish Town and Portmore. Now this will be the underline within the JLRT network that will be fully outside of the Kingston city limits. As you know, all other lines are either within or goes to the city of Kingston. Beginning at the Spanish Town lay-by, as been called by the JUTC, we call it the Spanish Town Transport Center, but the JUTC, they call it the Spanish Town lay-by. Trust me, I learned about that just the other day. I never know. So we're going to go by that name, the Spanish Town lay-by. So the lay-by in Spanish Town is a very crucial point, as this is where you'll meet the Blue Line from Halfway Tree and Pepin, as well as JUTC buses heading into Kingston and Portmore, not to mention rural buses heading all over Jamaica, and of course route taxis. So this is a very crucial terminal. The Purple Line heads south along Windsor Road onto the Spanish Town bypass, where it will turn east. The Purple Line continues east along Spanish Town bypass for its first stop at Marchpen Road. It then continues east for Salt Pond Road, where it will make a southern turn. The Purple Line continues south along Salt Pond Road for its next stop at the Grace Kennedy Distribution Center. It then crosses over the T1 for its next stop at Phoenix Park Phase 2. Welcome to Portmore. The Purple Line continues south for its next stop at Caribbean Estate, where it will now curve east along Main Road, if that's what it's really called. Now this is where you'd get off if you're heading to Greater Portmore, and also if you want to connect with the Red Line heading to Kingston. But that is only you're heading to Portmore or to the Britons. If you're not and you're heading straight to Kingston or to Portmore proper, you stay on this line. The Purple Line then continues east along Main Road for its next stop at the Bernard Lodge Main Road intersection. It then continues east along Bernard Lodge Main Road for another stop at the Portmore Country Club, a very crucial point. The Purple Line then continues northeast along Municipal Boulevard for the Caribbean Estates new entrance, and then continues northeast for its next stop in Cumberland at the Passage 4th Drive intersection. The Purple Line then curves east along Passage 4th Drive for the Gregory Park Main Road intersection. So if you're heading to Gregory Park or Caymanas Park, not too far away, this is your stop. A very crucial stop for all our thoroughbred lovers. The Purple Line then continues east along Passage 4th Drive for Passage 4th, its next stop. So if you're heading north to Waterford, east to Portsmouth, or if you're stopping in Passage 4th, yes, this is your stop, baby. The Purple Line then heads south along George Lee Boulevard for its next stop at Portmore Community College, and then onto the Dawkins Drive T-junction adjacent to the Resilience Park, where it will terminate. This is Portmore proper, so right here you can connect to the Red Line heading to Greater Portmore, Halfway Tree, and Constant Spring, JUTC buses heading to Kingston and other parts of Portmore, as well as route taxis and yes, buses to Spanish Town. In terms of JUTC comparison, well, there are buses that runs between Spanish Town to Greater Portmore and also into Portmore proper, but as you know, a JLRT car, and I'm talking about a single car, is able to carry 3 times the amount of passengers a JUTC bus can carry. The JLRT will also make fewer stops than a JUTC bus, which means you get to your destination faster. Plus the JLRT, the Purple Line, would be routed on a different path than where most JUTC buses would be routed. For example, along the Bernard Lodge Main Road and the Municipal Boulevard, serving commuters from places like Caribbean Estates, Gregory Park, Cumberland, Passage 4th, and yes, Waterford. If you're traveling on a JUTC bus from Spanish Town to Portmore, you're more likely to be routed further south into Greater Portmore, the Braytons, Sagohead, Bridgeport, Passage 4th into Portmore proper, the areas that are also served by the JLRT Red Line, which means commuters to the northern edge of Portmore are being left out by the JUTC. This is where the Purple Line comes in handy for those commuters. Plus how convenient it is to have 2 lines running through Portmore, the Purple Line to the north and the Red Line to the south. In terms of retrofitment, in Portmore, there really won't be the need for a lot of work, as Portmore was built for transit networks like these. The streets in Portmore are wide and accessible to these types of network. Unlike its neighbor across the water, Kingston, which its streets was mostly built for the cars and buses only. So within the municipality of Portmore, not much work needs to be done. However, in Spanish Town, its other neighbor to the north, there will need to be some small retrofitment directly along Windsor Road, leading from the Spanish Town lay-by to the Spanish Town bypass. That's it. Not much work will be needed for this line. The Orange Line in St. Andrew is expected to be completed sometime around 2051, so we're not expecting any work to be started on the Purple Line until sometime around 2053 and to be completed sometime around 2058, just in time for Jamaica's centennial anniversary in 2062. Wow. You probably know what I was gonna say, but now but I said. Let's move on. So after a time well spent fully in the parish of St. Catherine, we head back to Kingston and St. Andrew for the extension of the red line between Halfway Tree and Constant Spring. Yes, I mean, we can't leave the uptown people stranded. They also have to be connected to the JLRT network. Well, the long wait is over, Uptownians. The red line is coming to you. Beginning at the Halfway Tree Transport Center connecting with the Blue Line and the Orange Line. The red line continues north along Constant Spring Road for its next stop at Red Hills Road, where there are connections to the Orange Line heading to Red Hills. Or if you want to head anywhere east along West Kings House Road. The red line then continues north along Constant Spring Road for its next stop at Dunrobin Avenue, a very crucial stop if you're heading west to Dunrobin. It then continues north along Constant Spring Road for its next stop at Shortwood Avenue, and then continues north for another stop at the Oaklands apartment complex. Then further north for another stop at Mary Brown's Corner for those heading on Mannings Hill Road. The red line then continues north along Constant Spring Road for another stop at the Constant Spring Golf Club, and then continues north for its final stop at Manor Park. So if you're heading to Norbrook, Upper Constant Spring, Stony Hill, Golden Spring, or even into St. Mary, this is your stop. In terms of JUTC comparisons, really not much, but when it comes to comfort, efficiency, and safety, of course the JLRT is gonna win. Remember, the JLRT is not there to replace the services provided by the JUTC, but rather to improve on the services provided by the JUTC. This section of the red line is one of them. So the JLRT certainly will not be competing with the JUTC on every single line. In terms of configuration and retrofitment, this section of the red line will not need much of it, as Constant Spring Road was recently upgraded to a dual carriageway. Well, not very recently. I think it was back in like 2017, 2018, somewhere there. Yeah. In terms of timeline for completion, the Purple Line would be completed sometime around 2058. So we're not expecting that the red line extension would start anytime before 2062. Yes, the year of our centennial anniversary. And it's a pretty short extension, so completion would be sometime around 2065. And it not done yet, so we got a treat for you. Yes, as we mentioned before, due to popular demand by you, our valued subscribers and viewers, we decided to add one more line to the JLRT network to serve the eastern section of the city of Kingston. We're going to call this one the Mountain View Express, the Silver Line, to take you from Barbican all the way to the Yellow Line at Windward Road. And getting to and from the National Stadium was the main reason for this line. As you know, the National Stadium is a very crucial and popular venue within the city of Kingston. So yes, we have to connect the JLRT network to the National Stadium and everywhere else along Mountain View Avenue. When it comes to champs, the Grand Gala, major concert events, and of course, major senior track and field events, you know this venue is very important to our culture. So yes, there must be a line connecting the National Stadium to the rest of the network. Without further ado, the Silver Line, the Mountain View Express. Beginning at the Barbican terminus connecting with the Green Line, the Silver Line then heads south along East Kings House Road for its first stop at Kings House Avenue. It then continues south along East Kings House Road to Hope Road, where it connects with the Green Line at the Bob Marley Museum. As well, if you're heading to Halfway Tree, Spanish Town, or Papine, this is your chance to get there connecting to the Blue Line. The Silver Line then continues south along Lady Musgrave Road for its next stop at Musgrave Drive, and then continues south along Lady Musgrave Road for another stop at Montrose Road, where it branches off south onto Seaview Avenue and then continues all the way to Old Hope Road, connecting with the Green Line. So if somehow and you forget your keys and you have to head back to Barbican, or if you're heading to Ligony, or if you're heading south to New Kingston Crossroads, the Norman Manley International Airport, or even Port Royal, connecting with the Green Line right here is the way to get there. The Silver Line then heads south along Mountain View Avenue for the National Stadium, the most crucial stop on this line and the core reason why this line was considered. Continuing south from the National Stadium, the Mountain View Express heads for its next stop at Excelsior Community College, and then continuing south for its next stop at Deanery Avenue, and then south for another stop at Saunders Avenue. The Mountain View Express Silver Line then continues south for another stop at Ildane Avenue, and then south for another stop at Cartridge Road. You're now in the parish of Kingston. The Silver Line then continues south along Mountain View Avenue for its final stop at Windward Road, where it connects with the Yellow Line. So if you're heading west to downtown Kingston, the A76 Industrial Zone, or 6 miles, this will be your connection point. Or if you're heading east to Harborview and Bull Bay, or say you missed the Green Line connection on Old Hope Road, and you want to head to Norman Manley or to Port Royal, you can still connect here with the Yellow Line to take you to Harborview to connect with the Green Line shuttle bus that will take you to Port Royal and to Norman Manley. In terms of JUTC comparisons, yes, this Silver Line has quite a bit of benefits to it. Not necessarily in comparison with the JUTC, as you do have buses that leaves both from Halfway Tree and downtown Kingston to the National Stadium along Mountain View Avenue. So we're not really doing any comparisons there. But when you look at the facts that there will be fewer stops than a JUTC bus on this line, and yes, commuter costs will be more affordable, and the ride will be more convenient and less prone to accidents. In terms of retrofitment and configurations, yes, this line, the Silver Line, will need quite a few of it. Like on the entire route of the Silver Line will need retrofitment and configurations. As you know, this is uptown Kingston that we're dealing with, so we don't have a grid pattern system and the roads are pretty narrow. So yes, they will need retrofitment and configurations. When you're talking about East Kingston Road, Lady Musgrave Road, Seaview Avenue, and Mountain View Avenue, the entire route will need some work. I mean, everywhere except for the section by the National Stadium. For this very reason, we're expecting that the construction time frame for this line will be longer than anticipated. The Red Line extension should be completed sometime around 2065, but with regards to the extent retrofitment work that is in demand for this route, they may want to start things earlier before the Red Line extension is completed. So work on the Mountain View Express should begin sometime around 2064 and to be completed sometime around early 2069. Man, we got a long way to go with this one, I tell you. And it's still not done yet, so. Because looking at the fact that we want every single major thoroughfare within the city of Kingston to be connected to the network, we see where Don Robin Avenue, parts of Washington Boulevard, Trafalgar Road, Maxfield Avenue, and especially the busy Hagley Park Road, all of which won't be connected to the JLRT network. So Design Jamaica did its studies and research, collected its data, and we certainly see where there will be a need for a JLRT line on these major thoroughfares. So we searched the color table and we realized that all the primary colors has been used up. We do have some secondary colors that we have not used, like brown or burgundy, but we don't want to use those because those will be too dark for the eyes of the commuter. In regards to transportation and road safety, we must use colors that is easy to be recognized by both pedestrians, motorists, and commuters. So brown, burgundy, and shades like white and black certainly not gonna work. We also did not choose pink because we don't want color-blinded person to get it mixed up with red or orange. The same reason why we didn't choose burgundy. So for this specific line, we decided that we're gonna go with an off color or a highlighted color, aqua. Yes, aquamarine, even though it is a shade of the color green, but it's really far from the color green, so we can work with it. So people, we present to you the Aqua Line, yes, also known as the Uptown Zephyr. Now this line will begin where the blue line leaves Malines Road on Washington Boulevard via Halfway Tree and New Kingston on Hagley Park Road via 3 miles and terminating at the Marcus Garvey Drive Portmore Expressway T-Junction, where it meets the red line heading back to downtown Halfway Tree, Constant Spring, or west to Portmore. Here you can see for yourself the busy thoroughfares that this line will connect to the JLRT network. Very crucial. We can't leave them out. So without further ado, the Aqua Line, between the Washington Boulevard Malines Road intersection all the way to Tinson-Penn. As you can see, this intersection here at Washington Boulevard and Malines Road is a very crucial intersection here in the city of Kingston. Very, very important intersection right here. Here you can also get JUTC buses heading in all 4 directions, route and Hackney carriage taxis, as well as rural buses. So when I say important, this intersection right here is very important. So here we go. The Uptown Zephyr beginning right here at the Malines Road Washington Boulevard intersection, head east along Washington Boulevard for its first stop at Red Hills Road, where you can connect with the Orange Line heading north to Red Hills or south to Halfway Tree. The Aqua Line continues east along Dunrobin Avenue for its next stop at Constant Spring Road, where you can connect with the Red Line heading north to Manor Park or Constant Spring and south to Halfway Tree, downtown and Portmore. Here the Aqua Line curves and head onto Gore Terrace, where there will be a newly built overpass over the Sandy Gully to bring it onto Upper Waterloo Road, where it will make a stop for Mega Mart. The Aqua Line then continues south along Upper Waterloo Road for West Kings House Road, and then continues south along Waterloo Road for its next stop at Devon House, where you can connect with the Blue Line heading to Halfway Tree and Spanish Town, or heading east to Ligony and Papine. The Aqua Line then continues south along Trafalgar Road for Nussford Boulevard, and then continues southeast along Trafalgar Road for Worthington Avenue, where it will make a southern turn onto Worthington Avenue to make another stop at Haining Road. It then continues south along Belmont Road for Oxford Road, where it makes another stop. From here you can walk for about 2 minutes to connect with the Green Line on Old Hope Road. That will take you north to Ligony and Barbican, or south to Cross Road and Port Royal. The Uptown Zephyr then makes a southern curve along Oxford Road onto Ripon Road, where it will make a stop at Eureka Road, and then curves further west along Eureka Road for Halfway Tree Road, where you can connect with the Red Line heading north to Halfway Tree or Constant Spring, or south to downtown Kingston and Greater Portmore. And this is a crossroads area, so you're not very far away from the Green Line either. The Aqua Line then follows the Red Line south along Halfway Tree Road briefly for Retirement Road. There will be no stop here, but it curves west along Retirement Road for Lyndhurst Road for a stop at this intersection with Russell Road. The Uptown Zephyr heads north along Lyndhurst Road for Beechwood Avenue in the vicinity of the RJR Gleaner Broadcast House. The Aqua Line then continues north along Lyndhurst Road for Maxfield Avenue, where it will make a stop, and then curves north along Maxfield Avenue for Montgomery Avenue, and then continues north along Maxfield Avenue into the Halfway Tree area, right at the busy intersection with Hagley Park Road and Eastwood Park Road, the nearest point that you'll get to connect to the blue, orange, and red lines at the Halfway Tree Transport Center. It's not very far away, so it is possible even if you walk. It's only going to take like 2 minutes walk from here to there. The Aqua Line then curves south along Hagley Park Road for another stop at Wood Glen Avenue, and then continues south for another stop at Trafford Avenue. It then continues south for another stop at MacArthur Drive, and then continues south along Hagley Park Road for another stop at Walton Park Road, another important thoroughfare to get you across southwestern Kingston. The Uptown Zephyr continues south along Hagley Park Road into 3 miles at the Portia Simpson Miller Square, where you can connect to the Yellow Line heading to 6 miles or the 876 Industrial Zone if you're heading west, and if you're heading east to downtown Kingston and Bull Bay. Here you can even get JUTC and rural buses to places like Spanish Town, Portmore, and even as far as Maypen. The Uptown Zephyr then continues south from 6 miles along Marcus Garvey Drive into the Tinsipen Terminal along Marcus Garvey Drive and the Portmore Expressway, where it will terminate and connect with the Red Line, heading west to Greater Portmore and heading east to downtown Halfway Tree and Constant Spring. In terms of JUTC comparison, well, this line is really a connector more than it is a zephyr or an express, because unlike the other lines, the Aqua Line was not designed to get you from point A to point B in record time, only high connections. Let me give you an example. Say you're at Malines Road intersection and you want to get to 3 miles. Of course, you would not take the Uptown Express to get to 3 miles, especially when there's the Blue Line that is right here, where you can take to Halfway Tree and reconnect with the Aqua Line in Halfway Tree to 3 miles. I mean, if you are going to 3 miles and you say you want to take the Aqua train to 3 miles, because it does, yes, it does go to 3 miles from here, but to stay on this line, you would have to go all the way to Upper Waterloo, down on Trafalgar Road into New Kingston, then back into Cross Road, up into Halfway Tree, and then down to 3 miles on Hagley Park Road, which would take you an extra 2 hours to get there. I promise you that. Certainly not when you have to get to work. Unless you're on a day off and you say you just want a tour of Kingston and you just want a tour of the city and you just want to ride out, then you can do that. But if you're on the go, you would not have to stay on this line to get there. There are other and faster options. Like I said before, unlike the other lines, which brings you from point A to point B in record time, the Aqua Line is more of a connector line to other lines to get you where you want to go. And if you notice, this line kind of bypasses the Halfway Tree Transport Center, because that's really the intention, to bypass Halfway Tree to get you from the north to the south of the city. Say for example, you live in Dunrobin and you work in New Kingston and you want to get to New Kingston without stopping in Halfway Tree. Instead of taking the orange line to Halfway Tree and then you will have to connect with the red line and probably walk into New Kingston, you could just easily take this line, the Aqua Line, that will get you there faster. A direct stop for Knutsford Boulevard. Another example, say if you live in Constant Spring and you take the red line down to Halfway Tree and want to get to 3 miles, normally you would have to stay on the red line to downtown Kingston and then connect with the yellow line to 3 miles, or you'd have to connect with the JUTC bus in Halfway Tree to 3 miles. But mind you would have to pay an extra fare if you connect with a JUTC bus, because you're no longer within the JLRT network. With the Aqua Line, you could just easily walk for 2 minutes from the transport center to the terminus at the Maxfield Avenue intersection and connect with the Zephyr there to 3 miles. Save an extra $120 in your pocket. And I'm just quoting in 2025 prices, guys. It would be way much higher in the 2060s. In terms of configuration and retrofitment, yes, the Aqua Line will need it, especially the bridge that will have to be built over the Sandy Gully to connect you from Constant Spring Dunrobin intersection to Waterloo, Upper Waterloo that is. Plus I can see where it will be going through a little squatter settlement there, or a little ghetto. I'm not sure exactly if that's what it is. I'm not disrespecting the residents that live in this area, but certainly we can see where about 3 or 4 of these houses that is in the path of the Aqua Line will have to be relocated somewhere else. And also Gore Terrace, yes, will have to be widened to accommodate this line. Certainly every thoroughfare between Trafalgar Road and Maxfield Avenue will also need widening and retrofitment, such as Worthington Avenue, Belmont Road, Ripon Road, Eureka Avenue, Retirement Road, and Lyndhurst Road will all have to be widened to accommodate the Aqua Line, as these roads are just 2-lane thoroughfares. And I also can recall some of you, our valid viewers and subscribers, suggested above street level lines. So these are probably some of the major thoroughfares where the Aqua Line will have to be above street level. For Maxfield Avenue, it is not bad because Maxfield Avenue is 3 lanes the entire way. Timeline of construction. The Silver Line is expected to be completed somewhere around 2069. I'm expecting that by that time we find the oil and we get rich, which means we can afford to build 2 lines at one time. So I'm expecting that the Aqua Line would begin construction right after the Silver Line is completed in 2069 and to be completed sometime around 2072. At that time, Jamaica turns 110. My gosh. My gosh. Anyway, there you have it, the purple line, the red line extension, and yes, we present to you the silver line, the Mountain View Avenue Express, and the Uptown Zephyr, the Aqua Line. But it not only so, there will be a part 4. Yes, there will be a part 4, because after seeing the entire network presentation of the JLRT network, the routing, the comparisons both in cost and time, and based on some very important suggestions that was made by you, our valid viewers and subscribers, Design Jamaica will have to do a technical study and then present to you how exactly, that means we'll go deep into the technicality and the technology on how everything will be done, from counting the amount of terminuses and terminals and looking at how they will be built and be maintained, and especially where you see earlier on with the Aqua Line where we outline the thoroughfares that will need the above level lines and the thoroughfares that will not. We also will be doing that with the other lines, because as you know, Kingston is not really a gridded city. It's more like of a British style type of layout, especially uptown, which means most of the streets are narrow and congested. So all of this and more will be outlined in part 4, and you may never know, there could be even more treats if we see where more treats are needed and places where they are needed, right? Yes, so look out for part 4 coming soon. I'm seeing where you guys are really loving the series, and yes, the videos are gaining traction, which is good for the channel because the channel is growing. We're almost at 1,000 subscribers and we need to grow even larger so we can reach even more people with content like these, because More people need to know about this. That's why we can't stop reminding you and can't stop begging you to like the video, share, watch, subscribe. And I'm seeing where the part 2 video got over 7,000 views, and not even 10% of those 7,000 viewers had subscribed as yet. And I know you guys are enjoying this series. So when I wait, man, not just watch, subscribe to, man. It's free, not cost you a thing. So my plan was not to let this video go over 30 minutes, and so far it gone over 30 minutes. So that means we getting the hell out of here. Part 4, look out, coming soon to you. We gone. This has been Design Jamaica.
Brought to you by Films by Jawade. Follow us at Films by Jawade on Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram.